How did your day start today?
Oh, sports.
Sports? You're a big sports fan?
Uh,
So
n-
World Cup?
no, I just did sports.
Oh, you did sports.
Yeah,
What
I
kind of
woke up
sports
at
do you?
4:30. I went for a walk and run for an hour and a half. Then I went to the gym, did half an hour.
By choice or jet lag?
Not jet lag.
Yeah. Okay. Because if that's your normal life, although
Definitely jet lag.
you do have a mathematics and science background, right? So
Yeah.
left brain, right brain, it could actually make sense if you're also an early morning person, I
I
guess.
do. I'm an early morning.
How early? Well, because you have kids too,
Yeah,
right?
I have kids. Yeah, so three kids. So when you have one kid, it's early. When you have two kids, it's even earlier. And when you have three, it's even more.
So I shouldn't have a third.
You have two kids?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, one with the kids, one plus one is not two, and two plus one is not three. My logic is one plus one is like three or four, and one plus one is exactly the same. It doesn't change. But the once you have two, even if you have three, four, five, six, it's the same.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
you said it's even earlier. I can't do any
just a little bit
earlier
early.
than I
Yeah,
already
what
do.
is it now? Like six, five?
It's 7, but it's only because I keep them up so late that it doesn't turn into
That's what
6.
I always ask my wife to put them in bed later so that we can sleep.
Yeah.
And she doesn't want.
Why?
I don't know.
It's probably the more responsible thing to
She
do.
refuses.
Yeah, it's so I'm a miserable person at 6 o'clock in the morning, so I just feel like I'm a better parent at 7
That's
versus 6, you know?
yeah.
When
Totally
did you get to
understand.
LA?
Yesterday. No, yesterday. Yeah, the in the, like the day before yesterday in the evening.
You've been so completely independent with your entire career. As I understand it, you like to do everything on your own, and then you succeeded on your own, which France isn't France the second biggest market in music?
They say it's the second biggest market in music, but I don't really know the numbers. It's like when you talk about the like biggest military powers, they always say this, and they're like
Yeah.
fifth, like France is fifth. But is it really true? We don't know.
Bottom line, it's super competitive.
It is. France is a very difficult market. A very difficult market. It's not an easy place to have a voice in a place as an artist. It's a difficult place,
So you've had to wear both hats. You've had to be the artist and the businessman.
and I still do that. But you said I wanted to. I didn't really want to. It was more. It was more something that I had to do more than I wanted. I didn't really want to do that. It just happened like this. When you have no opportunity, you create the opportunities.
Which is the theme of this podcast. Exactly.
Absolutely.
Creating your own opportunity. So,
Yeah.
how did you start? It's not exactly the most common or mainstream thing to be selling out arenas playing the trumpet.
Mm. It's. I mean, it's not. It's not the reason why I'm doing music. It's just like a bonus in what I'm doing. I see it a little bit like someone celebrating his birthdays or celebrating something in life, more than being the purpose of my job. I love being on stage. I love creating music. I love composing music. I love teaching. I love doing interviews because I think that when you are doing interviews, you share an experience and it's like teaching in a way. It's not only me teaching, but sometimes even being taught. When you ask questions, it makes me think about things I wouldn't have thought about before. So all this, I really love this. But being in front of like thousands of people, it's more like, oh, let's celebrate all this. It's not the purpose.
What I thought was really interesting about what you said was that when you were playing, we should actually go far back. Your father is a musician, your
Mm.
mother is a musician. You grew up in a very artistic family. So you started playing first with your dad when you were 7.
Yeah.
what kind you said that you didn't really like what you were hearing and it was loud. So what actually made you want to practice with him?
Um, my father and my mother were like very different personalities. My mom is the most loving person on earth. She's the kindest person I've ever met in my life. She is the sweetest person in her heart. Like she's really someone. She definitely contributed to bringing peace in my life. You know, she really is the one who kind of calmed down everything in my life. My father is completely different. They actually divorced when I was 15, and my father is a very harsh person sometimes and difficult, and he was very unfair when I was a kid. He was rude. You know, he was raised the old way, and he thought that was the right way to do with his kids. So he was very severe, and so the only moments he was nice to me and fair were the moments where we were doing music. So one day I just asked him, "Hey, can you teach me some trumpet?" And he said, "Yeah. And if you want me to teach you trumpet, you will be a trumpet player." And this is actually something I say on stage because it's a bit funny, right? When you're 7. So I enjoyed doing music with my father, and that's the reason why I kept playing trumpet, even though I didn't like it. And after years and years of playing and practicing this instrument and understanding why it might be interesting to play it, I started enjoying playing trumpet. But that was much later.
I thought it was interesting the way that you describe your kind of love-hate relationship with the trumpet. Is it because the kind of music that you were drawn to, you couldn't really envision with the trumpet? Or is it because of the kind of music you were just hearing that others were playing with the trumpet that didn't really correspond to what you liked?
I just loved music. I loved composing. I love everything that is about music. I was feeling it. Like I was feeling music. Like you feel someone, you know. Um, Music moved me. I was very emotional when I was listening to some kind of music. I was very um, joyful when I was listening to some other kind of music. I was really like music had a direct effect on me. So my way to see music and my way to understand music and to be linked to music had nothing to do with trumpet, had nothing to do with my parents and the way they play music. My mom used to play classical music on the piano. My father used to play those Middle Eastern scales and Baroque music and classical music, contemporary music. I didn't like it at all. I wasn't at all into this kind of music. I used to listen to all kinds of musics and rap and pop and hip hop and just songs and movie soundtracks. I used to love movie soundtracks. I was everything could move me the same way. Every music could possibly move me the same way. You don't know the people, and when you meet them, anybody could move you. Like you could be touched by anyone, not by only one kind of people. Even though you have your own habits and the people you usually see, and you know you're gonna match with them culturally speaking or philosophically speaking or whatever. But sometimes someone who is completely different than you, someone who comes from a different culture, different world, a different age, someone you would have never expected to meet, could change your life and could really affect you and touch you. I have exactly the same kind of relationship with music. I love discovering something new I haven't expected, something that is completely different than me. So the way I see music is more this kind of way. I don't see it like it's not because I play trumpet, so I like trumpet. I don't give a shit about trumpet. Yeah.
You've mentioned that you felt like it was just loud. The way that your dad played was loud. What
Yeah.
did you mean by loud? Is it that
Yeah.
it was songs in a major that you weren't really drawn to?
No, just loud. Trumpet can be played in a very loud way. Like when you play trumpet, you could really could hurt your ears, you know. It actually did hurt my ears sometimes. I didn't like the way. I mean, he invented a way to play trumpet that nobody did before him, and this specifically this, I loved it. But then he used to play Baroque music and classical music, contemporary music, and all this, and that was, I mean, his perspective on what a trumpet should be. Oh, I touched the mic. So his perspective on what a trumpet should be was very much influenced by the fanfares, that the way they used to play in the fanfares in Lebanon when he was a kid, the military, the way the trumpet is played in military culture, the way his teacher and the French music school taught him how to play trumpet, which is like it has to be loud and high notes and this kind of things. So he thought that this is the way you play trumpet, and he was proud of being able to do it. And he learned how to play trumpet when he was in Paris Conservatoire, and he was proud of this. It was his French education, and as an Arab, as a Lebanese musician, he felt it was a good way also to be accepted in the Western culture, to show that he is able to do it. And you know, but when it comes to me, again, I wasn't interested in all those things. I wasn't interested in being validated by French society. I was a kid. Even though I was born in Lebanon, I didn't, like, if France doesn't accept me, I'm fine. I go somewhere else. If I didn't care about trumpet world. Like, if people don't like the way I play trumpet, that's fine. You know, I wasn't waiting for any kind of validation from anybody else than my mother and my father. That was it. So since my father was obviously very happy to see me play, that was enough to me. You know, seeing my mother being so proud of me, seeing me at 9 playing classical music in a concert in front of thousands of people, she was like, this is my son. So this is why I was proud of doing it. But other than this, I mean, trumpet was being played very loud at home. And that was not something I liked at all. And still now I don't like it.
You touched on so many points that I want to ask you about, but before all of that, I want you to elaborate on the new way of playing the trumpet that your dad came up with.
Yeah, my father, he, you know, as I said, he was influenced by the Lebanese fanfares that were brought by Europeans in Lebanon in the beginning of the century, the 20th century. And so growing up in this Lebanese, French, European environment, he used to listen to these fanfares being played, and they used to play French music, and sometimes they used to try to play Arab music. And the problem is that in Arab music, it's the same actually in Armenian scales and Armenian music, in all, like, Mediterranean, everywhere in the world, you have quarter tones. And since you cannot play quarter tones on a trumpet, they couldn't play them. So they used to play the melodies, but there was something that didn't work. It wasn't sounding right. And my father used to ask his father, why don't you play the melody the right way? And his father used to tell him, nobody taught us how to play these instruments. They just brought this instrument to us, and nobody taught us, like, properly how to play these instruments, so that we don't know how to play it. So my father, when he was in his 20s, he thought, okay, I'm going to go to Europe. I'm going to learn how to play this instrument. I'm going to come back and teach them how to play the quarter tones and the scales. And, you know, he started practicing trumpet and learning how to play trumpet, and then he discovered it was impossible. So he thought about something to add on a trumpet, which is a fourth valve. And if you use it, it lowers a quarter tone, and that's it. So he invented this in the 60s, and he taught me how to play this when I was a kid, and this is what I do now.
Tell me about how you incorporate Arabic melodies then into your music.
I don't do anything specific. I just compose music, and when I compose music, my music is a mix of all the cultures that I am. You know, we are so many things, right? We are not just one specific identity. You know, I grew up with my uncle's books, and my uncle is a very famous writer. His name is Amin Maalouf. He's a He's one of the greatest French writers. And one of his books, the name of the book is In the Name of Identity. And that book changed my life. He describes how, if I want to make it short, he really describes how an identity is not just one thing and then suddenly it could be something else. It's just a superposition of many layers of many things. So before meeting you, I was someone. Now that I met you and we talked, there's another layer, and then another layer, and then another. And every time you meet people, you learn something, you travel, you discover some other culture, other music. There's something that is added to your identity, and you have like different layers. So when I'm composing, it's all those layers that are expressing, themselves. It's not just one thing. So being as you and as many people, as millions of people, billions of people, being a mix of many things, I don't think about one specific identity when I'm composing. I'm just composing. So it might be a little bit Arabic, it might be jazz, it might be classical, it might be Indian, it might be, I don't know what, it would be jazz, like all kinds of musics, and I don't really label them. I just let it be the way it is.
The reason I ask is because I was reading about, do you pronounce it makam?
Maqams, yeah.
Makams. So it was interesting to me how you incorporate that into music that is listened to all over the world. And then it occurred to me, I was like, wait, is that what Armenians refer to as mugham?
Mm-hmm. It's exactly the same.
Ah, okay. So what I wanted to know from you is makam from Lebanon different from makam in Iran and from other parts of the world? Or do they kind of have the same ancestry? What are the differences that you notice?
What you call maham and what we call makam, and what, whether all the countries use all around the Mediterranean, is exactly the same. We just name them differently.
But sorry to interrupt. When I listen to Pakistani music or if I listen to flamenco, I feel like I intuitively feel some sort of a difference in the way it's performed,
Yeah.
but I can't pinpoint, maybe because I don't have the proper musical education, I can't pinpoint what it is exactly that's different.
On my opinion, I mean, it's just my opinion, of course, but it's just the way you interpret it. It's the interpretation that changes, not the makam itself. So, for example, Turkish, Armenian, Lebanese, we have this way to express things with there is like something soft. We have this kind of very mellow thing in the way we do it. Pakistanis, for example, or Indian, they have something that is very peaceful. This kind of very peaceful thing. It's like, they are very, I don't know, there's something calmer and less passionate. In the Maghreb, in the North Africa, for example, they use it in a more, with more, I don't know how you say it, like there's something that is punchy in it, like and this sometimes is very close to the way Indians do. And there's, but it's exactly the same makams. We use the same makam. We use the same scales, and I could even go further because there are other musics that are not related to this Mediterranean culture. They use exactly the same scales, like Celtics, for example. Like Celtic music is very close to this. I could, like, of course, flamenco. Also, you mentioned that flamenco is really like Western Europe, even though it's very much similar to Indian, as you said, in a way. All this is linked. All those cultures are linked in a way, but on my opinion, it's just the way you interpret it. So it's the way you dress it, not what it is inside.
I read that it's usually taught orally because it's so much harder to play. Is that true?
Yeah, it's difficult to teach the makams to someone who doesn't know at all how to feel them. My father had this metaphor that I kind of like. He used to say that like Western harmonies, it's like many, how to say, needle, you know, needle.
Yeah.
It's like like Western harmonies is like many, many, many needles that you push just a little bit like this on your hand. You know, like
Okay.
many, many needles all together. This is Western harmony. And in our culture, he compares this as like one needle that goes inside, like deep. You know, that for him, it meant in a way that there is something deeper, there's something more profound, less sophisticated, but more profound. So it's the same difference than the sophistication of a speech and the power of the deepness of the words that you're using. It's like it's different. You can be very eloquent, you say, eloquent, by saying very sophisticated things, use complex words, be smart in the way you express things so that people say, wow, this is so impressive. But you can also just look deep in the eyes of someone and say one key word that changes everything. So this comparison is very similar, on my opinion, to the way you could describe the Western harmony, the way it's so complex and so impressive sometimes, and the deepness of the maqams and maqams.
So why is it considered less sophisticated? Is it because of the improvisation?
No, it's because it's very much related to one's emotions. It's not something I can calculate. If I calculate the way I'm going to use the maqams, I'm underestimating what a maqam is. The maqam is something, if you use it the right way, you touch people that you would have never expected touching. You would have never imagined being able to touch. And that's actually one of the reasons why I keep playing music in my life, because I think that there is a message that music can send to people, and especially to change them in a better way, to bring empathy in them. Yeah, I'm going too far, but that's my only way to answer your question. like that's exactly why I do music. You know, it's because the maqams and this culture that I've been raised in is able to touch in a different way than all the sophistication of music.
Is there a right or wrong way to do it?
No, that's why it's actually very complicated to teach someone. You know, there can be things that I'm not touched by. It doesn't mean it's wrong.
Can you identify what makes it more moving or less moving to you personally?
Yes, but it would never be based on the choice of notes. It will be based on the sincerity and the authenticity of the person who's expressing it. It's like saying poetry. You have people who like just say a poetry, right, to you, and you don't understand anything, and you're not touched. Someone else might say exactly the same words. You might not understand anything, but you will be touched. You know, that the difference is exactly the same. That's why the choice of the notes is not a subject, is not a topic, is not something you have to focus on. But maybe I should just moderate a little bit what I'm saying by saying the choice of the maqams can be interesting. You know, the maqams have different meanings, different emotions. So depending on the way you choose them, the emotion might not be the same.
You kind of like to incorporate them almost as accents, not as the main part of the song that's going throughout, right? You kind of
It could be the main if I'm just playing trumpet and nothing else. If like sometimes I play in like in my shows, it happens sometimes, especially when there is like a big room, lots of reverberation. You say in English. Sorry, my English is not.
No, it's very good.
You use this space to bring another kind of sound for the trumpet, something larger, like in a church or in a big concert hall or this kind of places. The sound of trumpet like resonates for a few seconds. When it's in this kind of place, I would play only trumpet, and I would not. I would ask my musicians not to play too much, and I would use it to bring the trumpet to another, like a different way to play, and go deeper in this. But when it's my band, like my shows, with all the drums and the trumpets around me and the guitarists and the bassists and all this, it's a different. There's a different message in here. It's not about the makams. It's not about the trumpets and all this. It's about the message again. It's about sharing something with the audience. It's about sharing some kind of values and joy and all this. It's not about being accurate in my speech. It's a different moods, I guess.
Mm-hmm. I want to go way back for a second, because before I get to the start of your career in France, I want to talk about your background. You were born in Lebanon to bombs going off in the hospital.
Yeah. My mother would speak about this much more than I would, but if you ask her, she would tell you that, yeah, the hospital was being bombed in the same time. Actually, it's sad, of course, especially when I think about the fact that maybe children were dying at the same time I was being born, right? But it gives you another perspective on what life is at a very early age. Like, for example, when I was a kid, I would never play video games where people were shooting other people. Never. Like, every time my friends were playing, oh, look at this, I was like, oh yeah, let's play. And then when I see this, I was like, okay, no, guys, this is not for me. Even when I was like 8 or 9, and or when at school they were playing war and this kind of thing, I was like, what? You want to play war? Are you serious, guys? Like, even when I was a kid, like, I never really was able to have a normal childhood, like most kids would, because I was very sensible. That was something that was even like almost genetically, repulsive to me, and it kind of shaped a different version of what I would have been, maybe. Like it shaped something in me at a very early age. Like, the priorities were different. My priorities were being alive, make sure that my family is alive in Lebanon, make sure my house is still there when I'm back, this kind of. So normally a child should not think about those things, right? So, but it makes you stronger in many aspects, and it brings maybe also, when I'm talking about music and I tell you about, I don't know if you noticed, by the way, since the beginning of this interview, your questions are very technical, which is normal, because how do you compose music, the trumpet, the meaning of and I always escape those questions. I don't like to answer these questions. It's not against you, but my answers are always somewhere else. They never are in the technical aspects of things. They never, like when I do an interview and they sometimes ask me, okay, who are your favorite trumpet players? I'm like, I don't really care. They ask me, so you play this quarter tone trumpet, and like, technically, how does it work? Like, okay, I'm gonna answer, but I don't care. And the reason why I'm like this, it's not that I'm not interested in it. It's not that I don't respect the questions or you. It's just that I've always felt that my priority is somewhere else. It's not that I'm not that interested in it. I might be interested in this. Maybe if I have the chance to live 20 years more or 30 years more, like when I'm I don't know, like 75 or 80 or something, maybe I will start to, hey, wow, the trumpet is an interesting instrument, you know? And I could be like starting to think about this technical aspect of it and all this. But my priority has always been somewhere else. Being connected to people, sharing emotions, try to bring empathy, because I'm facing a lack of empathy that is growing and growing and growing. Like when I was a kid, one of the things that I was so surprised by was the lack of empathy of kids. Like they could shoot another boy and don't even care if he's hurt or not. They could like look at a girl and take her hair and pull it, or so. I was like, hey guys, what are you doing? Even if you disagree, don't do that. You know, I was like touched by this lack of empathy. And I was thinking that with age, like growing up, I was gonna see that people get better, you know, and the reality is that it's even worse. It's worse. It's just designed differently. It like people hide it, but they more and more vile and more they show a huge lack of love and empathy, and that's quite disappointing as a human, you know. And when you see what is happening now in Lebanon or in the Middle East in general, in Gaza and all this, in Ukraine or whatever, like you see people watching this on social medias, and then they just turn their face and they, hey guys, let's do something, let's go have a dessert. And again, I mean, the reason why I'm telling you this is that as a child who was born the way I was born, that pushes me and gives me more and more reasons to believe that maybe arts and music, maybe because I'm a musician, I say music, are maybe the last hopes that remain. And that we have a responsibility as artists to bring people, to push people to have more empathy and to bring them more emotions. So when I'm doing a concert, I always think that in the audience, a big part of the people who are listening to me might disagree with me on many things. You know, if we open a conversation about politics, they might disagree with me. If we talk about economy, they might disagree with me. If we talk about many things, religion or whatever, we might disagree. But if you are touched by something I might play, and you really are deeply touched, at least we have this in common. And that's like a starting point to bring people to more love and empathy at some point. Even if it takes years, I'm fine with this. But at least we started somewhere, you know? So when we talk about the way I was born, I will never consider myself as a victim, because there's so many children dying right now. Like every day now we're talking, every day between 10 and 15 kids are dying in the south of Lebanon. Every day. It became normal, you know. So I'm not a victim. I'm lucky, actually. I'm a very lucky boy, you know.
Now you see why I started with technical questions first. Because I didn't want to start tearing up 2 minutes into the interview. No, I mean, I completely understand. One, because I'm aware of everything that's happening. Two, because my best friend is Lebanese. And three, because we experienced the same, the ethnic cleansing of Armenians in 2020. So I know that all too well.
Do you remember when this happened and nobody cared? You remember this?
How can I forget?
How is that possible? Like, I remember this so well. And all my Armenian friends were crying or sending me messages and saying, hey, nobody's talking about it. Why? You know, and, you know, there are so many shocking things that happened these last years.
Mm-hmm.
You know, without even doing any politics or anything like that, because I don't mix my music with politics. I never do this. It's not about politics, you know, it's just about being human. Before going on stage, like a few months ago, I was just like swiping, you know, on my social medias and stuff, and then the information of the first bombing, American bombing in Iran, occurred in front of me, and I was like, okay, so I'm supposed to go on stage now, and I don't know, like 170 girls, kids, just died right now. Like I'm talking, I'm watching this. I'm supposed to go on stage. Iran, I mean, I feel so close to all those people, because, girls, it was a girls' school, right? Like,
Mhm.
it's like that sudden, like suddenly everything doesn't mean anything. Like there's nothing that means anything anymore.
Yeah.
So only one thing remains. It's me, like for me, for Ibrahim, for me, like not for you or anybody else, like me. I go on stage, I have one thing to do: play something that will touch people so that when they go outside this room and they go on their social medias and they see the information I just saw before going on stage, they can not be indifferent. They cannot look away. That should not be an option. So this is like permanently my 100% occupation when I'm thinking about music.
Yeah, and I mean, it's so hard because some of it makes the mainstream news, some of it doesn't. The ethnic cleansing of Armenians, a lot of people had no idea it was happening. And then if it is somehow in the news, you have absolutely no influence over the narrative. And so if there are a lot of lies being repeated over and over again,
You cannot
then
do something.
yeah, the public, just the way, about so many countries, people have stereotypes and they think that they know, but they don't actually know what's going on. Bottom line is people are getting killed, and, people might post about it and say, "Oh, I feel so terrible about this." And your Instagram post, maybe it, spreads awareness a little bit, but that's pretty much all that it does. And then the atrocities keep happening, and,
Mm.
ultimately there's no real influence that we have over it, and that's the hard part. Um, but yeah, that's exactly what I assumed, that your upbringing and your life in general would have had such a profound influence on your music. And so at what point do you move to France?
Uh, I was a kid. Maybe they used to go back and forth. When the Civil War started in 1975, people didn't know it would last that long. They thought it would be like maybe a few months or maybe through two,
Mm.
3, 4 years. And the Civil War. No, I'm not talking about the war in general, but just the Civil War lasted 17 years. So my parents used to go back and forth thinking it was almost over, da 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 da. But then at some point, they had to put me at school, me and my sister. So once they had to put us in a school, they settled in France. They decided that it was, too long, and so they settled in France. And then I grew up in France.
So then, do you feel a sense of responsibility because of everything that we just talked about to make sure people understand about your culture and your background instead of the stereotypes that go around?
Yeah, it makes sense to put it this way, even though I don't think about it this way. Like,
I think about it that way with Armenians. I
yeah,
mean, yeah, all the
you
time.
feel like you have like you have to give a good picture, right, or something like this. I think about it sometimes, but I don't feel this responsibility. I think each one of us has the responsibility to be aware of things, like, but maybe again, if I like the way I see things, again, it's more about the emotions than the picture of us. Like, uh okay, like for example, in Europe, I feel that European societies are being more and more racist. Okay, and this is not like something I say lightly. I, I would even say that I'm very disappointed by this thing. It's something that sometimes when I think about my children, I'm really worried for them. And there's no way you can change a racist person by trying to explain why he's wrong or she's wrong. There's no way. You cannot explain this. Racism is not something that you think of in a, it's not a calculation. It's not your brain that is thinking this way. It's your heart that lost hope. I don't think anyone, I don't think any child is racist, for example. I think the parents can make them racist, but I don't think they are. A child, you're born, you discovered society, you are eager to discover so many different things. So by nature, you might be surprised by things. You might be like shook by things sometimes, like shaken by things. But you are not going to judge unless someone taught you to judge. So racism is something that is the result of disappointments on my belief. So it could be a religious disappointment, it could be a nationalism disappointment, it could be anything. Two people can have a completely different experience. Let's talk about like France. Most people in France who are racist are usually racist because they consider that their insecurity is related to immigration. So they do a link between immigration and insecurity. So automatically they don't think further. They feel their insecurity, and since everybody talks about it as being something related to immigration, then they say, okay, it's because of immigration. So you can be the nicest person in front of them. You can be telling them, showing them numbers to prove them wrong. This is something they feel, so it's not going to change anything. So one day, like 10 years ago, 10 or 12 years ago, I said something in an interview in France. I said, I really would like, it was like it was a live interview. And I said, I really would love that the far right, the extreme right wing people come to my shows. And people thought that I was praising them, that I was saying they are good people. I would like them to be at my show because I like them and vote for them or anything like that. And that was exactly the contrary. I was saying I would like them to come because I'm pretty sure that if they come to my show and they feel what I'm feeling, their heart is going to melt. And they're going to think differently. They're going to feel things differently because something is going to change in them. And this is the power of music. And recently I was doing an interview with the Lebanese media. And I said something and they decided not to broadcast it because they were scared. I said, I wish I could do a concert for like Israeli army or people like this. Because I'm pretty sure if I play to them my music and their heart feels what I'm playing, they might not be so indifferent to the suffer of my kids. They might not find it funny to blow up my house. Because they're going to be touched by my music. They're going to be touched by my message. They might not think the same way because their heart is going to change, But when you say this, people don't understand it. They think I'm saying I want to play for them, So we are living at very difficult times where people, they are, rude to each other. And I really believe that the power of music can, I hope, change a little bit people.
Well, and then your music, you incorporate so many different cultures. How is it when you play with different musicians in different countries? That feeling has to be just so profound to be able to bring everyone together in a world that's so divided.
Yeah, especially people you don't like. You know, there are people, you know, you like everybody. There are people you like, people you don't like. There are people you agree with, people you don't agree with.
But then when you meet these people one-on-one, it's a completely different thing,
It's a
right?
different feeling, right? And especially, it's very close to the difference between people when they write on the social medias and when you talk to them different, like directly.
Totally.
It's pretty much the same kind. You see the gap between who they pretend to be and who they are.
Even something as local as, I don't know if you guys have neighborhood apps,
Mm.
just people living in the neighborhood. When I log in sometimes and I see the way people are going at each other, like so much hatred.
And then when you meet them, they're so nice
Oh
and
my
they're completely
gosh,
different.
hi. You know, everyone is so sweet.
But you know, we usually put this on the. We think it's because of hypocrisy, and I don't think so. I really believe that when you talk to people directly, they are somebody else than when it's on a social media, or I think they are truly someone else. I don't think it's hypocrisy. I don't think they are lying. I think they're being true on both cases.
I think so too. I just think that when you meet someone one-on-one, that influence already starts working too, where you can't just bravely, because there's just, you know, a screen. You can't bravely just say everything that you feel and get all that anger out and
Totally.
hatred out without reaction. You're looking into somebody's eyes
Yeah.
and you're seeing their reaction and their emotions.
Yeah, and also when there are people watching or when you are alone, people are completely different.
Yeah.
You know, so for example, I had some issues at some point in France, and people were being very rude on social medias on me, and they used to say some, like, it could be lies, it could be anything wrong, you know. And when I send them messages directly telling them, okay, look, I'm not going to be rude, of course, but I just want to explain to you this, what you said is wrong, and this is the proof, and this, what you said, is not nice, and this is the reason why I think it's not nice, and blah blah blah, and like proving them wrong on every, you know, step. Usually the answer is I'm sorry. Yeah, usually, not all of them,
But that's nice that they're able to acknowledge their mistake.
yeah, because you talk to them directly, and you know, I think it's
The anonymity is kind of gone from that.
you know what it reminds me, it's when you're driving. You know, when
The
you're
road
driving,
rage.
oh my god, how many times it happened, you know, that when you're driving and someone says, hey asshole, and then when you just drive by them and you open your window and you say, I'm so sorry, I just didn't see you. And they were like, yeah, but come on, man, you could have taken care of that. I'm like, yeah, sorry. And they're like, okay, have a nice day. But like 30 seconds before, it was asshole, you know. So yeah, I think it's pretty much the same kind. I mean, in both situations, they were very sincere. But in one of them, they didn't care about me. They didn't care at all about who I was. And the second time when I talk to them, then they care because they see a human being in front of them. They care.
You know, you've worked with one of my favorite musicians of all time,
Which is,
Lhasa de Sela.
oh my God, you know Lhasa. How do you know Lhasa?
Is that how you pronounce her name?
Lhasa de Sela, yeah.
Lhasa de Sela. Yeah, so you've worked with one of my favorite artists of all time,
Oh my God.
Lhasa
I
de
loved
Sela.
her. I used to love her.
I loved her in a way that I don't know if there may be, like, I can count on one hand how many artists I've loved that
Yeah,
way.
me too,
You know,
like that.
they're just there was something about her that I'm getting chills now just thinking about her and her music. The visceral reaction from her music, it's just unlike anything else. And I was just devastated when she passed away at such a young age because I know that she still had so much magic to give to the world.
Yeah, she did only 3 albums.
And her first album was one of my favorite ones. The one you worked on was incredible. So how did that connection happen?
Lhasa is the first artist who told me, play on my music and do whatever you want. She was the first one. Before her, I used to play with many artists. I was young, but like every time it was like, okay, could you play this, please? Could you play this, please? And Lhasa told me, play who you are, play the way you want. And she gave me a space that nobody gave me before. And that was a life-changing experience for me.
How'd you meet her?
She was working with someone I met, and this guy said, I mean, he's a genius. His name is Vincent Segal. He's a producer and musician in Paris. And Vincent told me, you should come and participate to this album we're working on. And the the irony is that at some point she fired everybody except me. So I was like the last piece arriving to the whole project, and then she fired everybody, and she said, "But Ibrahim, I would like you to." And that was really something that touched me. And for her second album, she sent me to Montreal to record on her album, and I remember she played me a song that is called "Anywhere on This Road," and I just closed my eyes and I played on this, and they took the first take. And this song like designed all my future as a musician. Just this song, "Anywhere on This Road." It meant who I was, even though it was speaking about her. The music was exactly my dream music, like the exact way I wanted to create music and the way I wanted it to sound. The place she gave me in this song, the place of the trumpet, meant suddenly the way I was playing, the way we were talking about it, like I didn't really like trumpet. Like suddenly I was playing and I was feeling that my playing was meaningful. That my music, the way I was playing, meant something, you know. And yeah, and then she asked me to play on other songs and stuff. And yeah, Lhasa was such a beautiful soul, such a pure, genuine, authentic human being.
I was listening to her since I was a little kid. And then I found out that she was going to have a show in LA, and it was at the Knitting Factory. Usually, when you go to concerts in LA, it's like big venues, there's really no connection. So to find out she was playing at the Knitting Factory, which was relatively small, that was a dream. And then I find out it's 18 and over or 21 and over, and I was underage. And I was like, I cannot believe she's finally here.
I hope you lied on your age to go.
Of course I
Oh,
did.
okay, thank you.
And I'm so proud of myself now because I never would have had another chance
Oh,
to see her
wow.
live if it wasn't
Yeah,
for
no.
me lying and getting into that concert. But it's one of the most incredible concerts I've been to, and she was such a special soul. There is no one similar. So I think it's so incredible that you got to work with her.
And by the way, like, did you ever hear any voice that was similar to her voice?
No, that's what I'm saying. There's
Never.
maybe like a Sade that you can't repeat. There's no one like her. There's Lhasa that you can't repeat. There are
Lhasa is
very few.
unique.
You can think of like maybe,
Completely.
just a few people that you can count on one hand who are so unique that nothing is similar. You hear her, you're not going to confuse her with
Yeah, she's a
anyone
treasure.
else.
She's a
Yeah.
treasure.
So that's really amazing that you got to work
Wow.
with her.
I'm so touched by the fact I wasn't expecting talking about Lhasa. Lhasa is my first musical love ever. Yeah.
That's amazing that you kind of feel like you found your sound through working with her.
Yeah. I don't know where this comes from. I think she was, Lhasa was a gypsy.
Mm-hmm.
She was an American gypsy.
Mm-hmm.
So she lived all her childhood in caravans and, traveling from place to a place, speaking Spanish, French, English, like all kinds of Mexican. She was Mexican from her mother. And I think she had this soul, the same I was mentioning at the beginning of this conversation when we were talking about my childhood. Someone who had very, very high expectations on what a human being should be. Always expecting the best of who we are. Always. I remember, for example, her having troubles singing. At some point, the way she was singing was so true and so sincere that she was sometimes giving a little bit too much. And I remember at the Paris show, they discovered that she had some we say kyst
Oh,
in her
like a lump.
in her vocal
Mm-hmm.
muscles.
A cyst.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she kept singing despite the fact that she was hurt. I remember her going on stage and singing exactly with the same passion, even though she should not. She was supposed to stop singing, you know. And I think like later she really stopped singing to preserve her voice. But that night, knowing she was suffering, knowing she was hurt, she went on stage. I remember this. It was 23rd and 24th March 2004 in a Paris place called Grand Rex. I cannot forget this. And she went on stage with this, and she delivered one of the best shows of her life. You know, this is again something about resilience, about being sincere with the people, trying to convince the hearts of people, not the brain of people. You know, there was something deep in her, and I think this comes from the fact that she was a gypsy. She was genuinely human on another level, like trying to connect the dots, trying to connect people, countries, identities, musics. Like her music is not anything specific. She doesn't belong to any style.
Mm-hmm.
It's not South American, it's not pop, it's not French song, it's not jazz, it's not Middle Eastern, it's nothing, it's everything. Right? And that's why I say it kind of designed everything else I did in my music in my life, because this was like I was meeting Lhasa. It's like someone who won in the lottery from first try. Like she was my first musical experience, my first musical love, and the first one who showed me that music can be much more than just a style or an instrument or a voice. Like it can be everything. Music is a superpower. And Lhasa had this superpower.
It's like your uncle's book said, right? The different layers, and after her, you're completely transformed.
Yeah.
Who else have you worked with that you felt like there was some kind of transformation
Similar?
after those meetings?
Well, many. I've had the chance to play with so many amazing artists, but I would say Sting. Sting is such unique artist, really. I've never experienced the same thing with anyone else. There is a French pop singer. His name is Mathieu Chédid. They call him M in France. Same feeling. And by the way, I have this in music, but also in other arts, other kinds of arts, like cinema, for example. Even though cinema is a completely different world, but there are some movies that move you also the same way, right? They kind of change something in your perspective on life or on people. But yeah, I could name so many people, you know.
You mentioned once, now back to the technical side. As far as doing a business, you mentioned that success to you would also mean more people knowing you in the US. Is there like a strategy behind that where you think about collaborations with US artists, or is that something you're not working on?
I think about it, of course. You know, I'm not that artist who would say I don't care at all, or if people listen to my music. Or of course, I'm always working hard on making people discover my music and listening to my music, and mixing my music with artists and my sound with artists who come from a completely different world than mine is like became a passion to me. Not only to make people who don't know me discover me. It's not about that. It's more about making sure I can belong to any place on this planet, making sure my language can be understood by anybody, making sure that any other artists in the world feel comfortable with me playing. You know, when I was a kid, my parents didn't have like money, obviously, and they couldn't like easily bring me to go see concerts, and so the only way for me to discover other musics was the radio, with the transistor, like you turn the button and then you every time you and then suddenly there's a music or someone talking, like, oh wow, I found a new channel, a new radio channel on this. And I used to have my piano and my trumpet with me in my room. So every time I was reaching like a new channel, I was listening to the music. Even when I was like 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, I was like, okay, what is this kind of music? Oh, I love this. Oh, that's so new to me. Okay, I take the trumpet and I try to play with him or with her. Like trying to match my thing, whatever it's called, to the music I was listening to. And I love doing this, like classical music, jazz, pop, rap, like all kinds of music. Like every time I was turning the button and then reaching a new channel, I was like, hey, I have a challenge now. I should be able to play with this. And I used to try to play. It didn't work every time, but it was a challenge to me. I have to match this music. So if I have to play soft, I play soft. Oh, it's loud. Okay, let me play louder. Oh, there's no like weird harmony. It's like very simple harmony. Okay, let me make it more complex. When it was like complex music, okay, what can I do? Like simple, the most simple thing that would match this. And I was like always trying to connect. And you know what? When I think about it, I think it became my job. This thing that I used to do when I was a kid in my room became my job. Trying to connect with anything that is different. Every time I have the chance to meet someone who thinks differently than I do, I want to have a conversation. Every time I see food that is going to make me feel something new, I want to try it. And it's the same with music. Every time I meet a musician, an artist, a singer, a style of music that is like completely the opposite of what I usually do, I want to connect.
What's the last thing that you discovered that totally blew you away?
So many things. I would say that the most surprising experience I had, and I'm not saying this to like brag or anything like that, but like playing with A$AP Rocky.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to play with him because I love rap. I had this opportunity to play with him and go on stage with him, and I was thinking, wow, it's a cool opportunity, like I'm going to talk about it with people. They're going to say, wow, you play with A$AP Rocky. Oh my God. Da, da, da. Okay. So I was like, okay, let me try. I should try something, So I went on stage, and then I was expecting this like hip hop star, like, not being connected, being somehow like on a different level, like with the bodyguards or something. I was expecting something like that. I was like, okay, yeah. And then I started to talk music with him, and the specificities of the details in the music, and the ways he wanted the trumpet to get in, the way we were going to be connected on stage, the way the music had to sound. And then I was like, oh my God, there are even like classical music conductors that are so respected, with who I never had this profoundness of conversation. Even playing Haydn or Bach with them, like they were not that profound. The way they were describing the music they wanted to play on. So that the next year when he came back to Paris, we like reconnected and we played again together, and again we went even deeper than the first time. And I was really blown away by the fact that sometimes even myself, even if I believe that I never judge people, that I never, judge on the first impression, and I always open my heart and my mind. We were talking about this for 1 hour now. Like how much it's like a religion for me to always be open to people. Like even myself, I was surprised that I was expecting something else from this man. And he happened to be one of the nicest guy and one of the most interesting musically person I've met. So these kind of surprises, are always, I kind of bless these kind of moments because it always brings me back to my childhood memories and being surprised by the artist I was trying to play with.
Did you end up recording something together?
No, but we talk about it. So I hope one day it will happen. But we've been exchanging about it. We always like send messages and talk about it.
And
So-
he's one of those artists that's so much more experimental, and so
Yeah.
now the conversation makes sense.
Now we understand why. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was curious by the way he was building his music because he's always like experimenting things, But I wasn't aware, you say, or I didn't realize how much this was sincere and genuine in his arts. It's not just a picture. It's not. He doesn't do it only to be like so that people say, oh, he's experimenting things. Like he really is like this.
Genuinely, yeah.
Genuinely.
Before we continue, let's take a quick moment to chat with this episode's sponsor, personal injury attorney and founder of A&Law, Law, Amin Maalouf. Congratulations on earning your title as super lawyer.
Thank you.
Personal injury is such a competitive field. Do you feel like you have to also work on visibility and self-marketing?
Absolutely. I feel like it's a saturated field.
What's one thing people say after a car accident that can completely ruin their case?
I'm so sorry.
So why?
That could be used against you. When you say things like that, the person on the other side is going to run to the insurance company, and that's the first thing that they're going to say, and that can be used against you.
Have you ever had a client who messed up their case without realizing it?
Yes. I've had a client who the insurance company likes to play games. They like to call the client and ask them questions and pretend that they didn't see the representation letter on file. I had a client that actually spoke to them, gave a full statement to the insurance company, and completely ruined their case.
I've heard that posting on Instagram can actually hurt your case.
Absolutely.
I've read that people actually get in trouble with gym selfies too. Like, it seems so innocent, but they go to the gym, they take selfies working out, and then they claim to be injured and...
Well, it does make sense. If you're injured, you should not be at the gym doing reps or lifting heavy weights. But, people do that, and actually it really hurts their case.
Make sure to visit anlaw.law for more info. That's anlaw.law. Who else do you see yourself having a great artistic connection with?
Someone I would like to have,
Yeah.
you mean? Or
Yeah. That you foresee that, if we met, I feel like we would come up with something really unique together.
Oh, wow. There's so many of them. So many of them. I would have loved to one day play a trumpet solo on a Nora Jones song. I'd be very curious to see what my music could sound if I play with Robert Glasper, for example. I love the way he sees music and all this creativity and the culture of it. There's so many. I could name so many artists, whether you know them or even like people who that nobody knows. Also, that
I actually would love for you to send me some artists that nobody knows.
yeah.
Because I love discovering new artists.
Oh wow. Okay, I'll do that. I'll send you some cool stuff. But even in like for example, my dream would be to be able to play with Ghulam Ali, for example. He's like the father of Pakistani music, traditional music. When I was younger, like 20 years ago, I used to learn his songs by heart. I didn't ever understand anything Pakistani or that, but just like singing his melodies, I used to love to do that.
There's one Pakistani musician that I listen to and I don't know the name. I would be so curious to find out if it's the same one. After this, I'll put it on and see if it might be the same person.
Yes, please do. There's a great Indian singer, by the way, since we're talking about like Indo-Pakistanese culture, Sid Sriram. I love his voice. I'm pretty sure that if we had to share something, it would be sounding really good. Recently, I was really surprised by his personality and the way he sees music, but Yoshiki, the Japanese pianist. Like who would have imagined me playing with Yoshiki or someone like him? Like never. But yeah, I was surprised. We composed together a song, and it's like he's a Japanese pianist. I'm a French Lebanese trumpeter. I play music influenced by Arab culture. He plays this kind of rock, hard rock, pop music with his Japanese band. Like who would say we would match somewhere, right? Yeah, music is always so surprising for these reasons. That's the reason why I really believe that music has a superpower, because it links us in a different way on another level. Yeah,
Because ultimately, the depth of human emotion is the same anywhere.
of course. I mean, we hope so, right?
I mean, we're not talking sociopaths and psycho killers.
Yeah.
We're just, talking about most normal human beings, We
Yeah.
feel pain, we feel love, and
Yeah, we love our
different people
children
to
the same
different
way.
degrees. But yeah,
Yeah. I totally agree with this.
and that's why the arts are so important.
Yeah, and music also has a vibration, like a physical vibration. When we talk, we have this feeling too, but when you play music, the vibration is not only in your ears. It goes everywhere on the body. Like if there is a music that is played right now, it's every part of our body is gonna vibrate with this music. And I don't know, I'm not a doctor or anything like this, but I really believe that this heals us also physically. And I'm not talking about like magnetism or this kind of stuff. I'm not talking about this. I don't know anything about this. I'm just talking like really physically.
Mm-hmm.
I think that music can heal us. When I'm like ill, when I'm sick, there are musics that I put in my ears and I listen to them, and I feel better instantly. Instantly, it's as if I took some kind of medication. So it changes the way you blow. You not blow. How you say you breathe?
Yeah.
You blow the air and you inspire and expire. That it's not the same rhythm, right? If the music is fast, you're gonna breathe faster. If the music is slow, like automatically you're gonna breathe slower. And there's so many reasons to believe that music is
superpower.
It is a superpower, yeah, and can really heal us on different levels.
Yeah.
Psychologically, emotionally, physically.
Definitely. It's something that I've always intuitively felt, but then I was reading Rick Rubin's book. I think he's such a fascinating person, and the way that he put it into words, and I don't remember exactly how he said it, but he said that music is like the fastest medium to transport you to a completely different realm. And it's the first time that I consciously thought about it, that yeah, I mean, really, a song comes on and immediately within a millisecond, your entire being transforms. And if you watch a film that you love, it still takes some time to do that. You have to get into the scenery, the characters, the story development. But with one note, music can just transport you immediately.
You know what I believe is the closest feeling to what music has as a superpower? When I'm on stage, I close my eyes because I travel.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I'm playing, I close my eyes. I'm really somewhere else. Then sometimes in front of people, like I'm really somewhere else. And then when I'm opening my eyes, I'm like, oh my God, I'm playing in the people right now. The closest thing for me is the smells, the memories that it brings to you.
What's the first smell you thought of right now?
Oh, my grandmother's perfume. Oh my God. It's so crazy, believe me. It's like, she used to, my grandmother died, she was 99 years old. So nobody in my entire family, or even most of the people who exist on earth were not here when, they have lived always with my grandmother around them, right? Because when you live a century, like there's nobody who you don't know, or, I don't know how to say this, but anyways, you got me. And her perfume, is her. And sometimes I'm walking in the streets, and I remember one time I smelled her like someone who has exactly the same perfume of her. I was like, oh my, who is it? Who is it? And I tried to stop that person, and I didn't find the person, but I was like, who is it? Please, who is it? And we were in the street, and the emotion that it brought to me was exactly as if she was alive again. Like, she's here, she's somewhere. Oh my God, where's my grandmother? She was here, you know. And I think that this is the closest thing to what music brings emotionally to me.
Okay, a lot of people have cried on my podcast, but this is the first time I do. No, it's not the first time, but yeah.
Yeah, because I think it brings us to the childhood somehow.
Yeah.
It brings us back to some very important things. We
Thank you.
thank you.
Yeah.
Oops. Sometimes when we are you okay? Sorry for this, but when we grow up, we always have. I remember when I talk to my daughter. She's 16 now, the eldest one, or when I talk to my kids. When I talk to them, there is something that is very important to me. Is when I'm telling them something, they have to look they have to look in my eyes. Like, if I'm talking to you, you're not like this. We're like this. Because everything is meaningful. Every word I'm choosing, I'm not choosing it just like this. There's something behind it. So when I'm talking to my kids, or when I see them growing up, it reminds me how, I don't know how to say this in English, but I'm gonna try to say it with my words. But everything that happens to you teaches you something, and the lesson builds in you some kind of like a pillar. Like, and this pillar is holding the roof of your inner house, your inner self. And every lesson in your life, every person who is important to you, every moment that is changing something in you, is like a new pillar in your building. And the more you learn things, the more you meet people who change something in you, the more you learn lessons from your mistakes, the more you fall on the ground, and then you decide to go back on your feet. The more you learn things, the more you have pillars, and the bigger the lesson is, the bigger the pillar is. And the more the person you're meeting changes something in your life, the bigger the pillar is, right? So we build this inner space based on those pillars, and you better have many of them, because when an important one of them disappears, you need to have all the rest holding up the whole inner house. So I think the reason why you can be touched by what I said when I talked about my grandmother and her smell or these kind of things, it's because sometimes we share the same pillars. And when you meet people, even people you don't know, and you see in them that you share the same values, the same pillars, somehow it brings back the pillar to you. It helps you again. It's as if it has never disappeared. It comes back. And sometimes when I have like conversations with people, and we share values, or they tell me the story of their, like, someone important in their lives, or we share some kind of same experiences on some things and all this. When you feel stronger, when you feel stronger, or when you are moved emotionally and you feel that, okay, something is touching you deep, it's because we share the same values, we have the same pillars. And I really believe very, very deeply in this thing. And and I think I could go even further in this, but I can stop here too.
No, go further. If you have something in mind, go further.
People are gonna think I'm crazy, right? But
You're an artist. You're allowed to be crazy.
okay, thank you. But no, did you ever feel this thing that when you are living something, like for example now this conversation, and suddenly you feel, I already lived this. I mean, this setup, I already saw it somewhere. I was with the same person talking, and we know it's not true, right? We know it's not true. And some people are going to do some analyze about this. Like it could be a brain disconnection. It could be some, it could be anything, right? The way I analyze it is that something has resonated that is linked to the same memory of someone else. So, which means that when I say we share the same values, we share the same histories, sometimes we share the same pillars, the same memories. I really believe that sometimes we share the same life. And we could connect in our imagination a moment, let's say this one here, with this same details, this big round white light, this chair, this table, the tea right here, the microphone, you. This has definitely happened somewhere in history before me. This is the mathematician who's talking right now.
Mm-hmm.
And why am I saying it's crazy? Because I really believe that everything was written. I know it's weird, but maths teaches you that nothing is invented completely, and everything is in one world. And in maths, we have p.
Mm-hmm.
The sign p. P is the definition of this cycle. Like without p, we cannot define the cycle. And p is a number that is infinite. So you can write all the combinations of numbers ever. There will always be more combinations.
Mm-hmm.
Now this never stops, right? So basically in this number, there are all our phone numbers, all our addresses, all the books you can read, all the books, if you connect it to numbers, everything is already written. All this interview exists already in P. Everything with all the maths, all the physics, all the walls, the numbers around us, everything is already written. I'm not saying that somebody wrote it. I'm just saying it already exists in a way. We just don't know it. We just don't calculate it because it's too big. It's infinite. But in a way, and I like the philosophical aspect of it,
Mm-hmm.
the spiritual aspect of it. There's something that we do not control. It's that everything that we have said today in this interview was already written in P.
They say the same about a lot of musical concepts as well, that it was already there and you either grab it in that moment,
Yeah.
or somebody else will.
Somebody
but it's
else might
there.
do it, yeah. And all the musics are already existing somewhere, again, in P.
And you either become the vessel or you
You're the
don't.
vessel of it.
Yeah.
So why is it important, in a way, to talk about this? On my opinion, it's not the fact that it's written. It's not this esoteric aspect of it. It's not the religious aspect of it. It's more the spiritual and the philosophical aspect of it. Philosophical aspect of it that I'm interested in, because it means that whatever you do, you don't pretend to be bigger than anybody else. Don't pretend to be before or better than anyone else or bigger or anything like this. Everything was already planned this way. And what music teaches us is that the superpower that it gives you is not only for you, it's for everybody who does music. It's everyone who has the possibility to use music as a language can have this superpower. Everyone can relate to the experience I was talking about. Everybody can feel the things that we are talking about and have the same feelings that we had today in this conversation. This is something that is very philosophical, but also mathematical. And I always think about it. It humbles anyone, to think that everything was already written. All your life was already written. All my life was written. Everything is already here. We are living it. As you said, we are the vessels of it, but we are living it. But it already exists in a way. So I know it's crazy to think
No,
this
it's
way,
not
but
crazy. But then to what extent, the way that you see it, is there free will?
The sincerity of things. My freedom comes from the fact that I'm not obeying to any rule. I'm being sincere in being the vessel I'm pretending that I am. I'm very sincere in it. That's why I don't hurt anyone. That's why I don't lie when it's not necessary and when it doesn't hurt anybody. That's why my music is never fake. Doesn't have to be. This is what my freedom says to me. It's not it's not something that I'm calculating. It's genuinely like this, and I'm being free to be the vessel I am. I'm free to be that thing. Yeah.
But as a true artist who gave birth to something that didn't quite fit into a specific category, especially in France and in the music industry there, and so you had to do the business aspect of it yourself, how did you manage?
I might unfortunately have the same answer. Again, I think that when you are sincere and authentic every time you have the chance to express yourself, people, you give them chance. You give people chance to understand you better.
But then how do you get your music heard in the first place?
You don't.
Because it's such a saturated market.
I've never been, I just released my 21st album. I've never been played in any mainstream radio ever, anywhere on this planet.
And yet you're selling out arenas.
Yeah. Which means, I'm not saying it to brag or anything like this, but I'm saying it to say that if you are sincere and you hold your line, you never drop your dreams and your freedom. Because I'm free in this thing. I'm not obeying anybody or anything. I'm being completely free. I was free to choose this path and to do what I'm doing now. I was completely free. I knew exactly what I was being exposed to. I knew that as an instrumentalist, the music world is mostly about singing.
But you also have a great voice. So do you, at any point in your career, decide that you want to focus on that?
A great voice? As what? As a singer?
Yeah.
Oh my God, no. Never. That would be insulting to all the great singers in this planet.
Not necessarily, no.
I'm not. I don't think I'm. I think that I can sing, but it's not because you can sing, then you're a singer.
But you do sometimes sing on stage. I know your wife is an incredible vocalist, and
yeah, my wife is gifted. She's a singer.
Yeah,
she has a beautiful voice, but I don't.
But you're still.
And by the way, she makes sure that I know that I don't have to.
Does she? She says, "Don't get it twisted.
She's funny.
You're
She's
not
like,
the singer."
Then no. Where's your trumpet? Go.
I've seen you sing on stage, though.
Just for fun. Just
That's
just
what
to
it's for.
Yeah. I don't know. There are so many things I would love to experience in my life, but we have to be humble. And being humble is also understanding what you want to do. One day, I hope I would be an architect, for example. I love architecture. And I think I could have been a good one. When I was a kid, I wanted to be an architect. I wanted to rebuild Lebanon and Beirut. And maybe I might be an architect before being a singer.
That's next in line, huh?
Yeah, maybe.
It's like we put labels. Are you a singer? Are you a pianist? Are you I don't even think of it in that context. It's just
I totally agree with this.
you have this freedom of creating the music. You're not thinking about, I'm doing Arabic music, I'm doing French music, I'm doing Armenian music. You're doing what you're doing and you're incorporating what comes naturally to you. So then if your vocal is what comes natural to you,
Then I'd sing.
then are you a singer or are you not a
Then
singer?
I'll sing.
Yeah.
But yeah, but you're right. I don't even consider myself as a trumpet player.
Huh.
Sometimes when they do like reports on TV and they ask you, what is the label? How do you want us to label you? Like your name and then trumpeter, producer, da da da. And can you just put musician? Musician could be anything.
Why?
The people who listen to my music, they are musicians.
Mhm.
You listen to music, you love music, you are a musician. It doesn't mean that you don't sing, so you're not a musician. You don't play an instrument, so you're not a musician. My manager is a musician. My kids are musicians. You are a musician. By asking them to put musician, I'm asking them to say, don't put me
On
on a
don't
different,
limit.
on a different
Okay.
level. I'm like everybody else.
Yeah. So you don't want the separation.
No.
Yeah. But also, like when you're saying you have to have humility, I think there's a fine line between humility and like the self-imposed limits too, right? So then which one is it when you're not singing? Is it a limitation you're putting on yourself?
You would definitely agree with my wife. You should meet her. You'd get along.
I'd love to.
Because she says the same thing. I mean, I don't know. I don't really know. I try to give answers because you are such an amazing woman doing something very nice by asking people questions about their arts or about their, but it doesn't mean that my opinion worth more than anybody else that you could go on the street and ask. I really believe, and this is not like just fake humility or something like this. I really believe that we are given a chance to have a voice as musicians or as artists that we sometimes don't deserve. It's not because you are an artist then your voice is more interesting than someone who is not.
But there are a lot of artists I don't invite here. I chose to invite you for a reason.
Thank you. And I really appreciate this. And I think that some people might not invite me. Some people say, nah, Maalouf, nah. Then I don't like his music, or I don't think he's interesting.
Which is fine, because the whole point is connection, right? Human connection and sharing the stories.
Yeah, and that's why I actually value your invitation. It's because you think that my voice is interesting. But I really believe that sometimes we are overestimated as artists. Sometimes I go in an interview, they ask me questions about things I don't know. And I say, I don't know.
Well, like what?
Okay, the last time I've been asked something was about, I grew up playing Baroque music and classical music. I was raised in a classical family. Classical music family. I graduated from like what they consider as being the highest level of classical music and this kind of stuff, like Paris Conservatoire. And I did international trumpet competitions and this kind of things, right? And then in an interview, I was being asked whether Bach or Mozart which one of them was more interesting in terms of technical accuracy. Because Bach composed music for trumpet. Mozart never composed anything for trumpet. And they're trying to trap me. Like, of course, I'm going to say Bach because he composed for trumpet and not Mozart. And I was like, how can I judge? I mean, like 3, 4, 5 centuries after them. Who it's not because Bach composed for trumpet, then I'm going to say Bach. It's not because I prefer Bach music, because I actually prefer Bach's music, then I'm going to say that Bach is more interesting than Mozart. So, and they were like, it was a classical music radio, and they were expecting me to have an answer. And every expert usually has an answer on these kind of questions. And I said, I don't know. And they were like, yeah, but you must have an opinion about it. I was like, no, I don't know. Yeah, but you have studied classical music. You haven't. You definitely. I said no, because my judgment is going to be based on the fact that I prefer Bach, and it's not because I prefer Bach, musically speaking, that he is more interesting than Mozart. So, so this can, you can always give your expertise on things that you don't know. I try not to do that.
Yeah. Yeah,
and usually our emotions or what we love influences us on our decisions and our judgments.
Yeah, and it's again going back to whatever you love about either musician isn't based on technicality. It's based on how it moves you emotionally. Right?
And you even have people who work in major companies who tell you that the reason why this music works, it's because it reminds people of another melody they already know. So you would rather prefer something that you already know than something that you don't know at all about.
But maybe that's why you had the initial judgment about A$AP Rocky that you did.
Definitely.
Because once musicians go through this machine in the mainstream market, there are so many limitations, there are so many rules and strategies that a lot of them do succumb to because they have to. It's what the label requires of them. And so you don't expect an artistic freedom to be able to connect on that level. So maybe that's why you had that initial
and also with A$AP, I love his music. So I was being not so judgmental, by the way, just a little bit, like on the process, but even though I loved his music. But what about if I don't like a music? Like, this is where I might be even more judgmental. Like, there are musicians, like when I listen to the music, I'm not touched. I might judge those musicians even more, right? So this is where you have to open your hearts, especially when you disagree or when you don't know, when you ignore something. This is when it's much harder to say, I don't know. This is when it's much harder.
Who are your favorite mainstream rappers?
Right now?
Who do you listen to in the car? Blast on do you drive in Paris?
Yeah, I would do that. But it might be very cliche.
That's fine.
Yeah, Kendrick Lamar, for example. I'm a listener. But someone like Kendrick is very interesting for a musician that I am, because all his surrounding, like all the musicians around him are jazz musicians.
That's why I was going to say I can see you playing with Kendrick in the near future.
That's the kind of rap I would listen to. And by the way, like we talk about rap now, but like Miles Davis, one of like his last album actually that he didn't even finish. I don't remember the name of the album, but he was listening to a rap guy doing like scratches and stuff on the streets from his apartment. And this guy who's doing these things, like the young rapper, I forgot his name. Anyways, he was like a young rapper. They started working on a rap album together, and Miles died, but they kind of finished the album. I don't remember the name.
Was it Doo-Bop?
Doo-Bop. Thank you. So, when you think about all the history of jazz, and then the last message Miles Davis sends to the world is hip hop. I mean, how you understand why Miles was so not nice to people, because he hated the way people were judgmental. He hated people because of this. He kind of lost hope almost at the end of his life on people and the way they were judging everything all the time. And that made him angry, And I think the way he was sending a message at the very end of his life saying, you know what? F you. I'm going to do hip hop because this is the new jazz. That was a great message of open mind, and so it's very easy for me 50 years later, to say, yeah, I listen to rap. Come on. 55 years before you, Miles Davis already sent a message to the world saying rap. Hey.
But I mean, a part of your magic is taking so many different elements from so many different cultures and finding a way to give birth to something new. That's really how I look at it. And I really feel that an artist, it's almost like you want to add more beauty and connection to this world because there's what we have already that's existing, and then sometimes it feels like life only takes away from you. And I feel like an artist, by giving birth to these amazing creations, it's a way of bringing balance to life.
Yeah. And my way is also to try to avoid too much sophistication, because the more it's sophisticated,
The less
the less you can be
authentic.
connected to everybody, And one of the reasons why I love Amin's books, my uncle, is that he, of course, obviously is one of the most cultured person I know. But in his books, he always tries to find the easiest explanation to make sure that everybody understands what he's saying. Not trying to use complex words, not try to impress people. And that's the reason why when I talk also, I never try to expose my culture or to try to impress people by naming things, or, I always try to reach one specific thing, which is make sure that I'm understood. And I think it goes with what you were saying.
When you talk about...
By the way, the rapper, Easy Moby.
Oh, okay. When you talk about getting too sophisticated with music, though, what exactly do you mean by that? At what point do you feel like it's sophisticated in a way that doesn't connect with a broader audience?
Let me give you an example. If I'm holding this here and I'm drinking my tea, right? By the way, thank you. And I have a music in my mind and I'm doing this. You don't know what the music is, right? For you, it's just a noise. You might say, please, Ibrahim, could you please stop doing this with your ring? And I could say, you don't know what my music, like the music I had in mind right now, was something really interesting, but you don't know this because it's just noise. Does it mean that my noise, the noise I'm doing here, is interesting? I don't think so. I think it's not interesting. Now, if I forget all this thing we were talking about, and again, the necessary humility, if I forget this, I could tell you, you're an ignorant, because this for you doesn't mean anything, but for me it's a symphony. And I wouldn't care if you understand it or not. But that's not my goal. I would like you to understand. So instead of doing this, I'm going to stop doing it because it's annoying. And I'm going to try to design and compose and draw what this could be when it's understood. So I just design it differently so that people can understand it and possibly maybe like it.
Taking
But
away its authenticity.
yeah, because if I just do this and I say it's not my problem if you don't understand it, then we have a communication problem. We have, we're not connected anymore. It's like provoking a dissonance between us, and I don't want this to happen. I want the exact contrary. I would like everybody to understand what I'm saying. I'm not the kind of person who's going to say my art is like this and I don't care if you like it or not. I'm not like that. And I'm not either someone who's going to try to please you. I just want to be right in the middle of this. I want to compose something that is me, that says something about the world, about life, about anything. But I want to be understood, you know.
I thought we were going into a Nietzsche conversation
Yeah,
after what you
maybe.
said. Yeah,
Yes,
it's just
maybe.
the people who don't hear the music are the crazy ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they are crazy, because it's not crazy as crazy. It's crazy because they don't want to be connected to the rest of the world. If you want to be connected to the rest of the world, you need curiosity. You want to be connected. You want to talk. I don't understand. Can you explain to me? Like when I'm arguing with my wife, every time we disagree on something, I never tell her that she's wrong. I always go and say, you know what? I'm not understanding what you're saying. Could you say this, but use different words? Because the words you're using, I can't relate. I don't understand. I disagree with you, but maybe I might agree with you, but you should explain it with different words. And every time I'm arguing with someone, I try to find the right words to make sure that we agree, I care.
I kept you way longer than the hour that we planned on, didn't I?
Really? I didn't
I
see the
don't know
time.
how long it's going,
I
but
don't know. What time is it?
so if anything goes wrong with your show tonight, it's my fault.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to your concert.
You know what? I think honestly, like, I've never opened my heart and to anyone in an interview on those kind of subjects before. And it's weird to me because I'm speaking in English, which is very difficult for me to talk about those deep things with a cheap vocabulary. Yeah.
No, but you
Yeah.
said everything really beautifully, and thank you,
Pleasure.
because I really enjoyed talking to you, and
Thanks.
it's really
Thanks for having me.
it's nice to have an in-depth conversation about these different topics, because that's what made me cry.
I really believe that the way you deal with these interviews is exactly the same way I deal with my music. Because you never judge. You always ask the questions that nobody asks, at least with me. You're trying to be connected, whatever I say. Even if I say something stupid, you're like nodding and say, interesting.
No, I wouldn't lie.
Yeah.
That would take away my authenticity. So
No,
No.
yeah. But I think, like, in a way, you have this... the people who are like this are usually people who suffered. Usually. I don't know you. I've never met you before. But usually the people who are like this are people who want to be connected because they experienced something hard. So I don't know you, but I hope I hope you're good. I hope you're fine.
Thank you. Likewise. Well, I think, there are so many similarities that we have also, you being from Lebanon, me originally being from Armenia. Besides the wars that we talked about, there's also the separation from families, from the people that we love. I didn't get to see my grandparents as much as I would like to. Now I'm hoping to make it back to Armenia for my grandmother's 90th birthday.
Oh, when is that?
October.
Oh.
I know you're planning on being in Armenia in the summertime, so I would
Yes,
love
that's
if
why I
I could
asked.
be. Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll talk about that.
I'm
Maybe
playing.
we'll be
Yeah,
able
I'm
to make
playing
that happen.
in Yerevan on the 15th of July, and I have the chance and the amazing opportunity to be in the jury of the Golden Apricot Film Festival this July. So I'm
That is so
really happy
awesome.
to finally meet the Armenian people.
Yeah, I hope that my husband and I will be there and we can take you on a very fun tour.
That would be great.
Armenia is amazing. You'll love it. The landscapes, the food, the
Please
culture,
please
the
come.
people.
Please, guys, come.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be there for 1
Hopefully.
week, so I'm very open to this.
Awesome.
And you know how much Armenian community in Lebanon is huge, right?
Oh, I know.
We
Yeah.
have so many friends who are Lebanese but originally Armenian also.
So do we, and my
Yeah.
husband has been to Lebanon. I haven't, unfortunately, but my husband was there and he loved it.
Yeah.
He had such an amazing time. So
Okay, so this summer, I'm in Yerevan. We go out. Then you go to Lebanon in August because I'm gonna be there. I take you out.
Okay.
And then in October, you go celebrate your grandma's birthday, and I will send you a trumpet message, like musical trumpet message for her.
It's a deal.
What's her name?
It's on camera. Alina.
Alina.
She's actually a musicologist.
No way.
Yeah. Yeah. So I wish you guys could speak. You would love speaking
Does she
to
speak
her.
English?
No.
You will be doing the translation.
Maybe French. You guys can, but no, she doesn't.
You would do the
speak French.
translation.
Yeah, I can do the translation. She's a fascinating woman, and she's
Right.
responsible for actually I'm sure that you're aware that traditional Armenian music is very different from the rest of Western music as well. And so she's responsible for going from village to village and collecting music from the people who are still who have survived and recording them and then decoding the music and finding the most authentic folk Armenian music.
That's crazy.
And writing books and books, from lullabies to other folk music. So yeah, she's a really
Is
amazing
she still
woman.
working?
She's still working.
At 90?
At 90, she's still working. Yeah.
Come on.
She's incredible.
I love
and
this.
I actually, there's a really great podcast in Armenia, and she just did the podcast. And it was so amazing to me that one of the most popular episodes of that podcast ended up being her podcast. And I'm like, that's really beautiful. That's something so profound, could go so mainstream in our country. So yeah, she's incredible.
Did you interview her?
No, but I plan on doing it when I go to Armenia. It's hard with your own family members, because you don't want it to be so self-gratuitous, and you don't want it to be like, oh, but you're so amazing. You're so amazing. I feel like that's all I'll be doing throughout the whole
But
interview.
you could start the interview by saying, okay, you're my grandmother. I love you. You're so amazing. But I'm not going to say it the whole interview.
Yeah. That's a good idea. But yeah, when
That's
I
so
come to Armenia
cool.
to your concert, I'll also be interviewing her.
Is she in
Hopefully,
Yerevan?
Yeah, she's in Yerevan.
I'd like to meet her.
I would love that.
Please.
You know
Especially
what?
I would like to talk about this archives she's working on.
I would love for that
She could
too.
play me some musics and I could learn some of them.
Yeah, and she's like a human encyclopedia. She will tell you about all the different cultural elements and every music in such detail. She's really incredible.
I'm meeting your grandmother Alina, whether you're there or not, in
Okay.
July.
It's a deal.
Thank you.
Well, for now, coming to your show tonight, I'm excited.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Thank you so much. If you enjoyed this episode and you want to help us grow, all you need to do is subscribe to our channel and drop a comment.